That's all we get is our names, no description.
You were back there when I gave the introduction.
So I just got asked to do this because this rock star over here showed up and wanted to share a little bit of insights of what he's doing with his life. Rob played for the Detroit Lions, retired 10 years ago. Prior to that, he played at a little school down south called The Ohio State University.
Yeah. Go blue.
Two fans in there. Two fans in there.
So, Rob, why don't you tell us a little bit about, let's start back right after you retired and what you were thinking about, what am I going to do next?
Well, I think what's interesting for my story and my family's story is we've been very blessed that my father played in the NFL, played for the Cleveland Browns back in the late 70s, and my wife's father also played through the 80s, so we kind of saw the good, the bad, and the ugly of what it was to be in and out of the NFL. So very early on, I knew I was going to be working on my transition and what I wanted to do next with my life. So that started with real estate. I was actually buying homes around our facility here in Island Park and actually renting it to my teammates using a proper management company. They had no idea it was me. You know, here talking about how, the heat wasn't working or something, you know what I mean? So that was pretty funny. But that blossomed into being part of a group that was is the franchisors of Remax here in town. So, and that group also started a title company, mortgage company that were sold pretty quick in my business career, I would say. And, I went back to doing what I love, which was, buying and selling real estate and investing in real estate. During that time, I was retiring, and also a lot of other guys were getting involved in my deals. One of those guys was Calvin Johnson. As he was retiring, he was looking for what was next in his life. So we did a couple early deals. We did well on them. And then cannabis real estate kind of got really hot here in Michigan. And we saw some opportunities in cannabis real estate, made a couple investments, and we thought it was just going to be passive income. But as we kept pulling back the onion, what cannabis was and could be, we saw there were just so many opportunities. So we've kind of jumped in both feet in. And not only do we have a thriving cannabis business here in Michigan, but we also have some other businesses that we can talk about, some other products that are more mainstream that are coming on now. So that's kind of what we've been doing for the past 10 years.
Yeah, that's fantastic. At the tail end of your career, did the NFLPA ever sit you guys down and say, hey, how do you build your brand? Did they talk about brand building in life after the show?
Yeah, I think the NFL's always done a good job, not just when I was retiring, but, they do things like the Rookie Symposium. We always have like live discussions during seasons and things like that. So, there's always opportunities for guys that want to get into broadcast or movies or entrepreneurship or whatever it is. So the thing is, are we going to listen? That's the biggest part about it, right? Football players are used to following a plan. Every Monday before we get ready to play a game, there's a game plan on how things are going to go. But when it's your time to develop the plan and execute it, it can get a little difficult. So, I think the NFL definitely prepared us, but we definitely go through our bumps and bruises as far as like how do we do it, how do we position things a certain way. What may work for or way may work for traditional marketing may not work for the individual player, and how you merge the two.
Yeah. When you and Calvin came together, explain to everybody the name of the CBD and where that came from.
Yeah, so our company is called Primitiv. We believe that cannabis, the actual plant, hemp, it all came from a very simple time. Like it was here long before we were here. It was put here to help us, and it is one of those, just like any other fruit, it has a purpose and it has nutritional value and it has healing properties and all those things. So we thought it came from a more primitive time, so hence the name Primitiv. That's kind of what our cannabis business has gone, and it's blossomed into what our new company is Primitiv Performance.
Do we have any cannabis people in here at all? No.
We can talk after the show. You might not want to raise your hand. Pull me aside.
The reason why I asked that is the state of Michigan is one of the premier places in the country, for that matter, for this industry. It's impressive that you guys recognized that right away. Well, how many do you have farms? Is that what you have?
Yeah, so we have a 12,000 square foot processing and cultivation facility in Weberville, Michigan, which is outside of Lansing. And we have our first store in Niles, Michigan, which is on the west side of the state. So we've got a team of about 75 people. I never thought I'd be managing that many folks. Yeah, like I said, life comes at you fast, and it's pretty cool to see how we've been able to keep this thing, blossom. So.
Did I read somewhere that you guys are doing something with Harvard?
Yeah, so that's the good thing about me and Cal's platform is really excited about where we are. We threw a lot of things at the wall very early on just because everybody was knocking on the door, right? And we had eyeballs on us because of Calvin and Calvin going into the Hall of Fame, and we took advantage of that. So we were able to go out and make early relationships with people and kind of focus on how we wanted the company to go, right? We knew that we were going to be able to develop products such as these. We also know that the public would accept them if we had credible institutions that were, backing it or looking into it, investigating it, those type of things. So those things all come with time as federal law changes, stuff like that. But we set down some early groundwork because we knew we wanted those relationships.
Yeah, the days of Cheech and Chong are over. I mean, I think people recognize the value in some regards of the benefits of marijuana. And this is a question I'm curious for the next NFL, because I've seen a lot of commentary from ex-players, Howie Long's son, a bunch of people talking about Chris Long, the value of how these NFL players will use this. This is CBD, THC.
Yeah.
And explain the difference between CBD and THC. You don't know.
Yeah, if
you want an education on weed.
If you don't know, THC is the ingredient or the cannabinoid that gets you high. That is what you'll find in a normal dispensary or cannabis plant. Most people come in and ask, how much THC do you have in this plant? But the plant offers so much more, right? CBD is another thing people have heard about. That's a cannabinoid that won't get you high but has anti-inflammatory properties. There's other minor cannabinoids such as CBC, CBG, CBN that have those same anti-inflammatory properties as well as help with your sleep and things like that. So you've got all these different cannabinoids that you can take and form different formulations and really get the desired effect you want out of those. And they're natural. And the big thing, like you hear athletes talk about it so much, is that we were in a position where we were able to get whatever we needed. All we needed to do was be able to perform, right? And I think that was the culture of the NFL for a long time, and rightly so, right? This is why the NFL is so popular. That's why the draft comes and everybody comes, right? It's because the players can perform, at a high level. Doing that, you're going to experience pain. You're going to be hurt. And, back then our answer was pharmaceutical drugs because that wasn't the answer. There was no other real answer. There's, like I said, I've seen generations of NFL players, right? It's just not my experience. And, that's something when you talk about quality of life and what do you want to do after you're done playing and how do you want to function and want to be a good husband, good father, you got to take into account a lot of stuff you put in your body. I think that was the thing. A lot of players really were starting to lean on cannabis because it was natural. It made them feel that they could perform at a high level and it wasn't dangerous.
Right. That's good stuff. That's the part. I personally use this a lot because I have a neck thing. We were sharing this backstage, but a lot of people will confuse cannabis, CBD with THC and that whole space. It's good to have advocates like yourself and Calvin out there sharing the real benefits of this. If you could think of a barrier to entry in this space that you guys face between branding, between packaging, between distribution, what would you begin with?
Man, I wouldn't even know where to begin. There's always that saying, first through the door gets shot. We took some bullets. We took some shots, man, for sure. From the very start, regulation is very hard in this industry to get into cannabis. The second thing is banking is very difficult, so you better have a little bit of of capital, be able to move yourself to make it happen. And then it's the stereotypes that you got to deal with, right? Me and Cal came in very specific and knew like, hey, this is cannabis and we're growing flower, but there's way more to the story that we got to explore and get to, right? The people around you may just see we're growing flower, right? So it's really continuing to tell the story and advocate and really get people to buy into where you really want to go is the biggest thing, right? The cannabis industry, although it's new legally, has this long culture about how business is done and how things are done and how they're marketed, right? And you're really, in the new market, you're inventing all of that. And for us, the most important thing is you ever look at our packaging or everything we do is very clean, right? Because, folks like you in the room are going to be tasked at some point is how does it fit together with the mainstream? So we wanted to make sure it was clean and it was ready to go, that we could just fit right in, and we checked so many boxes that when it was time to go mainstream, we could.
Wow, that's kind of genius. So where can you buy this right now?
So right now you can find us on primitivperformance.com. This is hitting a lot of the retail shelves now as well. We're working on an affiliate program. We're seeing like how Body Armor and groups like that were able to get out there and do that. We have the capability, our platform has the capability, and I think our product, the way we built it, it can compete one day. We got a long way to go, but I see it as, the biofreezes and the Tiger Bombs of the world, we saw those before everybody else did because they were in the locker rooms. And that's where our focus is. We want to introduce this into the locker room. So we just went out and got this NSF certified for sport, which is a big milestone for us.
What does NSF stand for?
I forget at the moment, but I know I needed it to get in the locker room.
So the NFL has approved this to be in the
locker room. The NFL has not approved this to be in the locker room, but we have done, which I think is we got to be pioneers on this one. We're the first CBD company to be able to market at Ford Field. So we just announced that a few weeks ago. It is not an NFL partnership. It is very much so a Ford Field partnership. So concerts and things like NFL will be there. Our team will be there for things like that. The Quick Lane Bowl we were at this year and able to do some things this year was cool. But I think, and even in the next couple of weeks, Major League Baseball is pro this. They did a deal with Charlotte's Web, and we're going to get our opportunity here shortly. So, a lot of cool things for us coming up. We understand that, this is something that's going to continue to merge and happen and grow. So we may not get it today, but we'll get it soon enough.
What's your 5-year plan?
Yeah, I mean, my 5-year plan, I want to see professional players using this in locker rooms in 5 years. That's what I want. I think in 10 years, like I'm saying about the biofreezes and Tiger Bombs, that this is one thing that we're starting to push into more box stores and more box retailers. And I think our cannabis business continues to grow on that side, and obviously when federal regulation changes, that opens up a whole different avenue for us, and things that we'll have to navigate, right? It won't be all great. There'll be things we'll have to navigate. So we've got both of these opportunities that are very strong. And like I said, we've got the platform to be able, if we're able to do it the right way, that, we're at least going to be one of the ones to get the opportunity to take a crack at it first.
So is the website
Primitivperformance.com.
Primitivperformance.com. And do you have brand ambassador things on it? Was you sharing that earlier?
Yeah.
It's going to kind of sell it themselves?
Yeah, so we're working on our affiliate program. Like I said, it started, our business started with myself and Calvin Johnson. That's blossomed. Also, we have another teammate of our, Gazer Sherrillis, has a store in Massachusetts. So if you're ever in Massachusetts, downtown Massachusetts, or across from Boston Harbor, you'll see our first Primitiv store outside of Michigan has been, is there and functioning and operating. And, now I've got a whole bunch of
brick and mortar store.
Brick and mortar store right in downtown Boston.
Oh, that's cool.
And now Primitiv Performance is that piece that, like I said, we've got some announcements we're looking to make here 1st of May that we're going to be able to go and hand this to any player if they want an opportunity. They're going to have the opportunity to do that. But, there's so many different folks that are reaching us right now because I think the way we try to position it.
Yeah, that's great. So I'm going to open this up to some questions here. He said he'll answer anything too. Do you have any questions? Dave?
So like Tiger Bomb, you put it on your sore muscles and that icy cooling feeling. Is that something similar to what your product does?
Yeah, our product is cool. It has that menthol. We have had the menthol that gives you that cooling agent. But the one thing we've done with our thing is that it has a PLO base. So, PLO is like pharmaceutical grade that we're trying to use. So that was first. So we went about it that way. We believe that, not only CBD, but these other minors I was talking about, CDC, CBG, CBN, all that together gives that entourage effect. And then we're using a nano emulsion, which nano just makes the medicine small. So if you think fast acting. We were talking in the back, and you're talking about using CBD rub, and I may use it for a week and I'm not feeling it. I may use it for 2 weeks and start feeling a little looser. We feel like everything we put on here is more of an immediate thing. Or you get it in days rather than in weeks. So that's
And
how
I
we
will
do
tell
it.
you, I use a CBD for an issue with my neck, and it does work. And I was super skeptical. It worked, and I wanted it to work quicker. It wasn't fast acting, so I decided to, let me try a little bit of this THC in here. And I tried that, and oh yeah, THC works. And I was just hungry for heroin all the time. But it does work. The cannabinoid absolutely works.
All right then.
Yeah.
All right.